What's up everyone, it's ENDYMION, and the changing of the times keeps going as more activists are angry that yet again people are pushing back against their agendas. From Ninja saying that he'll never play or talk to women, which has pissed off feminists, and how what Ninja is saying echoes what Henry Cavill has said before. Beyond this, we have big updates on Disney versus Gina Carano. And another update when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, as a journalist claims that the backlash is fake and it only exists because the internet hates black people. As for footage, not much makes sense here until we get to the whole Gina Carano story, so cool video game background footage I guess, so let's begin. Firstly, as you all know, since the whole Trump getting shot thing, the liberals out there have been getting cancelled left and right over stating whoever shoots them next shouldn't miss. This has led to a screw around and find out meta where dozens of people are getting fired for what they're deeming cancel culture. Of course, cancel culture is only okay in the woke liberals' mind when it's done to the other side. If it's towards them, well, now we got a problem apparently. Anyway, recently Ninja, who you obviously know as a streamer that plays stuff like Fortnite, has come out with a video that has upset angry feminists, and it ended up making their masks fall off in hilarious fashion. Here's that clip, so please watch.
God damn it. So originally I had the clip in this video of Ninja talking, but apparently it's copyrighted and I'm unable to show it, which kind of sucks, but I guess what I can do is explain to you what he said, which doesn't help as much, but I can leave a link to the clip in the description box below instead. Apologies, but basically what Ninja explains is that he doesn't ever want to be in a room alone with any woman that isn't his wife. And the only people he does DM are his male friends because he knows he won't get cancelled for that. And he does this because he doesn't want anyone to get the wrong idea or to accidentally end up talking to someone who is underage, so he ends up in a situation where he gets accused of grooming or something. Again, sorry I can't show the clip, but alas, that's how YouTube is sometimes. Okay, let's keep going. This clip has caused some feminists to get angry, claiming that what Ninja is doing is anti-woman. One of these individuals is Jessica Cogswell of GameSpot. Don't harass this person, by the way, just let me critique them and then we can all be better for it. Here's what she said via Twitter. He said this forever ago, so I'll just repeat what I said then. This line of thinking is so deeply misogynistic. You do you, I guess. But you are admitting you see a woman's presence as inherently sexual. You are directly contributing to the gaming industry remaining a boys' club. God, if I made as much money as this dude, if I had as much fame and influence and said I don't work with men and won't be in the same room as one alone, the backlash would be astounding. Already blocked one person who retweeted and essentially said maybe he just doesn't want women to make stuff up and take control of the narrative like you're already doing. Thus proving his point, because I have literally zero desire to deal with annoying people who hate women. What's hilarious is that the final part of her tweet there, she's talking about me, since I did respond to her tweet and she did end up blocking me, which kinda just proves my point as well. The fact of the matter is that people like this GameSpot editor proves exactly why Ninja is absolutely justified in his response to all of this. Think about the Me Too movement and how so many men were getting cancelled all over, from petty things to actual serious stuff like Harvey Weinstein. Of course, there are men who are bad people, and I understand they must pay for their actions, I'm not arguing that. However, on the flip side, too many men are needlessly targeted and cancelled for simply being the object of many vile women. How many times has a college football athlete been accused of assault only for the woman who accused them to admit that she faked it years later, and now the man's life and reputation is ruined forever? What you should be asking yourself instead of getting salty and mad about it is to ask this simple question. Why do you think that Ninja feels it's important for him to leave the room if he's alone with a woman that he doesn't know? Your answer might be because he's a creep, but as of the making of this video, there's no proof of that. Ninja understands that he has a platform that is very large, with a lot riding on it from sponsors and young fans. He would lose all of that in an instant if some female content creator or fan accused him of any wrongdoing. That's why he says in the clip if he does speak to a woman, it's only other content creators around his level, and he lets his wife know about it.
You may think that's controlling of his wife, but I think Ninja is playing the long game and staying smart about all of this. Remember that Ninja's wife is also his manager, which is smart of him to do because her being a woman thankfully protects him if she advocates for him against any wrongdoing. Honestly, even for me, when it comes to answering people's DMs, unless I'm talking to the Geeks and Gamers girls, Melanie Mack, or Sydney Watson, for the most part, I ignore pretty much all female DMs on Twitter or Insta if I don't know you. Why would I do that? It's simple. I don't want anyone to take what I say in some DM and somehow twist it into me being some predator. No thanks, I'm good. We already know women accuse men of false behaviors all the time, and even without evidence, yet people take it as gospel anyways because believe all women and whatever. All it would take for Ninja to lose everything is for some struggling female content creator whose views are dropping and sponsorships are drying up to weasel their way into his DMs or meet him at some event. And all she'd have to say is that when nobody was in the room, that Ninja touched her inappropriately or forced his tongue down her throat, and the entire internet would go, "Ninja did what?" And boom, who are you going to believe in that situation? The guy who has everything to lose, or the self-absorbed vile woman who is just using him to prop herself up? We all know that if Ninja or any other male content creator got accused of something, that these feminists would believe the claims immediately. Because it's no longer innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent for these parasites. And where Jessica Cogswell of GameSpot says if she was Ninja and said she wouldn't play with men, there would be backlash, be for real, there would be no backlash. If there was a Ninja equivalent streamer who was female who said I only play with female streamers, you would all be praising the hell out of her saying, yes, that's my queen, slay girl, screw these misogynists, you go girl, you're the best, you trailblazer you. You know I'm right too. If any guy perked up and said, wow, why won't, I don't know, Pokimane or Valkyrie stream with some guy's streamer, their simps and feminist hordes would bury that guy, calling him all kinds of buzzwords and say that he's sexist. You're only angry because Ninja is smart enough to know when he's being used and refuses to allow himself to get into any sort of situation where some cold-hearted, dead-eyed feminist freak could use him to prop up their own agenda or platform. Of course, the Kotaku journalist who hates all men and defends Sweet Baby chimed on this as well. Alyssa Mercanti had to say, this is why gamers are not okay. A misogynistic culture that continues to demonize women and queer folks while glorifying mediocre or outright problematic straight white men. Oh, here we go, fellas. Alyssa, yet again, not being able to read the room. Okay, let's dive into this word salad now to prove how stupid this is. Where in anything that Ninja said there mean that he wouldn't play with gay people? Please, someone, anyone, comb through the clip and please show me where Ninja said that he won't play with a gay content creator. I would love to see that. Oh wait, he didn't. He just said women. So is Alyssa Mercanti yet again allowing the multiple personalities in her woke liberal infested brain come to conclusions and then push them as facts? That's not surprising at all considering her track record in the past when it came to articles. Remember that she spent the entire beginning of her Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree review comparing the game's difficulty to her getting flack for her moronic comments from right-wing individuals. This is not a person to take seriously, but man does she say some stupid things. Also love how she calls Ninja mediocre. Right, Alyssa, the guy who has made millions of dollars playing video games at a level that you could never hope to achieve is mediocre. Of course he is. Because amassing millions of dollars in sponsorships, deals, and fame the world over is mediocre because, as you say, he's a straight white man. The mask isn't even on these woke feminists anymore, it's fallen off and the gust of wind has taken it away at this point. If what Ninja has achieved is considered mediocre, then there should be millions upon millions of streamers out there all making 7 figures yearly playing Fortnite to audiences in the hundreds of thousands. Oh wait, so the streamers that make that much is actually a very small percentage of people who are not only straight white men but women and gay people as well? It's almost as if this level of success is not common at all and only a select few people who have the means of achieving such things exist. You called Ninja mediocre because he's a white man, but all I see is a guy who's living the dream playing video games who's at the top of his game. It seems to me that you're just mad because he doesn't fit your agenda. If Ninja was a trans black person or was non-binary, you'd be sucking Ninja's toes like the homunculus and Smiling Friends right now. You'd be glazing all over him, propping him up because he fits your agenda. But simply because the guy knows that you and your ilk are insane woke freaks that are on enough antidepressants to put a rhino to sleep, suddenly he's the bad guy. This all reminds me of back in 2018 when Henry Cavill told GQ Australia that he doesn't even flirt with women anymore because he's worried that he'll get cancelled for it. And a ton of feminists got really angry online saying, well, if Henry Cavill flirted with me, I would be okay with it. Yeah, sure you would. You should ask yourselves why Henry Cavill, of all people, was removing himself from the dating pool on purpose. Obviously, it's not because he can't get a woman, but he has the same mentality as Ninja does here too. He knows that there are hordes of scheming individuals out there who would love to tear him down and ruin his career. All it would take is some random feminist to be alone in a room for 2 minutes with Henry Cavill, and then they would just tell some news reporter, Henry Cavill was alone in a room with me, and he took my extra large double padded panties off of me and stuck his tongue in my bunghole and wrote the ABCs while I screamed for help. And then news articles would come out and people would be like, Henry Cavill did what? And now he's got to deal with some crazy feminist who's just using him for fame. And then some news show pays the feminist thousands of dollars for an exclusive interview so they can get the full story. And then she sits there lying and fake crying while she says stuff like, Henry Cavill wrote Superman is the best superhero with his tongue in my gooch, while I was powerless to stop him. And then some blue-haired feminist off-screen holding the boom mic starts sobbing cause believe all women. Like, here's what Henry said to GQ Australia back in 2018, and I quote, I like to think that I've never been like that. I think any human being alive today, if someone casts too harsh a light on anything, you could be like, well, okay, yeah, when you say it like that, maybe. There's something wonderful about a man chasing a woman. There's a traditional approach to that, which is nice. I think a woman should be wooed and chased, but maybe I'm old-fashioned for thinking that. It's very difficult to do that if there are certain rules in place, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I'm going to be called a rapist or something. So you're like, forget it, I'm going to call an ex-girlfriend instead and just go back to a relationship which never really worked. I'm someone in the public eye, and if I go and flirt with someone, then who knows what's going to happen. Now you really can't pursue someone further than no. It's like, okay, cool. But then there's the, oh, why'd you give up? And it's like, well, because I didn't want to go to jail, end quote. And he's right, because all it would take is some weirdo to make up a narrative, and I guarantee you all of these feminists would believe it with zero evidence. This is why the changing of the tides is pissing these people off so much. Conservative ideology is booming. Woke lefties are getting cancelled left and right and then calling it foul, even though they relished in that same sort of power for almost a decade at this point. Now it's becoming more socially acceptable again for men to actually voice their opinions. Had Ninja said what he said recently back in 2018 like Henry Cavill did, he would be getting a lot more flack for it. And remember that Henry said this during the height of Me Too. So it's no wonder that he caused a social media firestorm for his comments, but he was right to do so. If the former Superman star is afraid to even walk up to a woman and say hi because he's afraid of being accused, thrown in jail, and having his career ruined, you have to ask yourself if what is happening here with Me Too, the feminist movement, and more has soured everything around it in the name of social justice or not. Because Ninja is absolutely right and smart to avoid female content creators and fans like the plague. It doesn't mean that he hates women or wants to kick the ladder down now that he's at the top, although many of those same women would likely think that. The point is that Ninja is on that ladder right now, and the reality is that many of these ill-minded individuals are clamoring for their spot on that same ladder. And they will do anything in order to achieve the success that they dream of, even if that means grabbing onto Ninja's leg and pulling him off said ladder so that they can climb over him and replace his platform with theirs. One thing you can start to realize as you do stuff like YouTube and all of this social media nonsense is just like Cavill said, You sort of become a public figure in a sense. And you just need to stick to your ideals and set up boundaries, otherwise people will just walk all over you whenever they want. There's a lot of good people in this space that I'm glad I get to talk to. People like Yellow Flash or Tom from Midnight's Edge, Sydney Watson, the Critical Drinker, and more. These are good people. I also really enjoy talking to people like Alan Ng and Chris Gore from Film Threat, or Valiant Renegade, or George the Giant Slayer. There's so many good people in these spaces, man. And it would break my heart to see any one of them suddenly being accused, or tore down, or having their platforms and careers ruined, just because someone out there with ill intent wants to see them suffer or worse. This is why I'm against the woke leftist cancel culture agenda, because for them, it's not about keeping you accountable anymore. It's about ruining you down to the very fiber of your being, ensuring that you are so damaged, so ruined, that there's no way you can climb back up to where you once stood. They want to ruin your livelihood, your connections, your entire life is forfeit in the eyes of their insane agenda pushing that they claim are totally normal and justified, but they aren't. Alyssa Mercanti, or this Jessica GameSpot editor, they're birds of the same feather. Depressed women who hate men because their upbringing, social circles, and academia have conditioned them to exist and operate within the confines of a victimhood mindset almost 24/7. They cannot perceive someone like Ninja or anyone else to be anything but the white male devils that they have been told to view them as. These are not the people we should be taking advice from, because these are the same kinds of people who would want nothing more than for people like me to die, lose my platform, or be thrown to the wolves and be eviscerated. So if you ask me, what Ninja did here is not bad at all. He's actually smart. He knows that there's bad faith actors aplenty all around him, and all it takes is one door to slightly open, a crack in the foundation for these parasites to run up to you like World War Z zombies so they can swarm your ass and eat you whole. Henry Cavill thankfully now has a girlfriend who's apparently the heir to some massive fortune, and she's attractive too, so the guy is blessed and his girlfriend is pregnant too. So it looks like Henry Cavill's kid is basically going to be born into some family and legacy that just makes them a real-life Bruce Wayne at this point. And good for him. I'm glad he didn't get cancelled by some half-head shaved freak who can't even tell you with confidence what a woman even is without feeling like they're going to get cancelled. Now, let's move on to some other big news and cancel culture nonsense wins, and it's been confirmed now that Gina Carano's case, which was being countered by Disney to be dismissed, has been denied and will move full steam ahead. You already know the story. Gina tweeted some stuff, then Disney fired her and blacklisted her from Hollywood, and then US District Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett has denied Disney's request and will allow Gina Carano to go forward with her legal battle for her wrongful firing by Disney. This is what the lawsuit says, and I quote, "Disney, Lucasfilm, and Huckleberry have failed to set forth an impenetrable defense under the First Amendment. The court denies defendants' motion." Carano filed her lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company back in February, with suit detailing it as a civil action arising from defendants' wrongful termination of Carano's employment in retaliation for Carano's lawful exercise of her right to speak and express her views. Specifically, defendants under the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek fired Carano because of her posts, on various social media platforms including X, formerly known as Twitter. Carano composed and published the post while she was off duty and away from the workplace. Defendants terminated Carano's employment and took other retaliatory actions to limit and deny her future employment opportunities, including, but not limited to, making maliciously false statements about Carano with the intent of damaging her reputation and thus her ability to find and retain work. Defendants treated Carano differently than her similarly situated male co-workers, who likely expressed their personal political views on social media but upon information and belief were not counseled or disciplined, let alone terminated. Carano is asking for preliminary and permanent injunctive relief, requiring defendants to reinstate Carano to her prior position with no loss of pay or benefits. A judgment declaring that defendants' termination of Carano's employment was unlawful and in violation of California law. Compensation damages, including but not limited to loss of pay from the date of termination to the date of reinstatement, in an amount to be determined at trial but exceeding $75,000. Compensation damages for loss of future employment, including but not limited to the promised role in Rangers of the New Republic, in an amount to be determined at trial. emotional distress damages in an amount to be determined at trial, punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial, reasonable attorney's fees and costs, and such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper," end quote. So as you can see, Gina Carano's case is going full steam ahead against Disney because what they did to her was unlawful and completely unjustified. It was absolutely done to destroy her career simply because she is an outspoken conservative. We know this because Pedro Pascal did the same thing she did, but he's a liberal, so he's still employed across the board. Hell, he's playing Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, unfortunately, which just further proves the double standard of woke leftist Hollywood's priorities these days. I sincerely hope that Gina Carano gets as much money as possible and reinstates her career and sets an example that companies and studios do not have the right to just silence you and blacklist you because they don't agree with your opinions on politics or whatever else. If Gina was liberal and said what she said, she'd still be employed. We all know this. It's simply because she's right-leaning that this happened, and I also find it funny that it's absolute crickets from people like the women I talked about earlier when Gina got banned and attacked. But I thought we believed all women, so why aren't these liberal women protecting Gina? Oh right, cause it was never about women. It's about only protecting those who fit your ideology perfectly to a T, isn't it? Gotta love how that works. Finally, there's an update on Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I reported on in my previous video, where Japan is basically united and hates Ubisoft for their woke failure. Now of course, yet again, The Verge journalist Ash Parrish has chimed in with yet another moronic take. Don't harass this person, but here's what they said about Ubisoft's apology recently. Y'all can quibble about if he was a samurai or whose swords he was allowed to carry. He was there. Everything else should be allowed to be artistic license. None of this is about historical accuracy. You just hate black people and use Japanese folks as a convenient shield. Ah, Ash Parrish, how wrong you are as per usual. You deflect the arguments being made behind your convenient liberal agenda shield. This is also the same person who said that Gamergate 2 is smaller and sadder, yet every single release from Sweet Baby Inc. post Gamergate 2 has failed miserably. There was this one picture circulating around Twitter today where someone compiled multiple games that were marketed as being made for a modern audience. And just look at these player numbers on Steam and where they're at now. Some of these are in the single digits. Even the big releases like Suicide Squad have failed miserably too. As per usual, just like with the ninja stuff, these activists change agendas and move goalposts to fit whatever it is that they're saying. Assassin's Creed Shadows is getting cooked because it's disingenuous and a blatant DEI attempt to push an agenda while disrespecting an entire nation's culture. That's all it is. Ash walks right past the fact the game got called out for not knowing how anything in Japanese culture works, and then they just landed on they just hate black people narrative instead. Where these games' websites find these activist brain-rotted journalists, I have no idea. I can't imagine living my life thinking I'm a victim every single day that I live. The game doesn't even get seasons right, or even how important individuals sat in relation to their lord, like be for real now. If Ubisoft is smart, they'll never pull a Yasuke again, but if Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws fails this year, there might not even be an Ubisoft in the future anyways. Honestly, at this point, I would love to see Assassin's Creed as an IP get bought by another company who actually knows what they're doing. Because such a cool concept is being ran into the ground by a publisher that clearly doesn't know what fans want anymore. But this is where we are right now. These freaks are mad that conservative ideology is overtaking them in every regard. They're mad that Ninja doesn't want to be placed in a position where they can take advantage of him, and that angers them greatly. And Gina Carano will hopefully give Disney their reckoning and blow the door wide open when it comes to cancel culture and freedom of speech. Just stop listening to brain-rotted feminists, make up your own mind, and stop living your life as a victim. Don't allow these people to influence your worldviews and keep living a healthy life and take care of yourselves. The biggest FU that you can do to these sorts of people is to keep winning and excelling in your everyday life. And they'll just keep crying in their apartment that they share with 3 polyamorous couples who have enough hair dye in their bathrooms to drown a horse. We're winning, friends. Their games are failing, their movements are falling apart, and they are thrashing trying to find some way up that ladder. And it's up to us to ensure that they never get back on that ladder so that they can enact their crazy policies ever again. Let me know what you think as always. Like, subscribe, share, and thanks to my patrons and members. It's $3 if you want to join the membership for the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Let's keep it real and have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.